So today we are going to do a somewhat pre-intro to the area of polygons, and that is we are going to go over the area of triangles. As we'll go over later, the area of a triangle is important to finding the area of regular polygons. But for now, let's just do a refresher on the area of triangles. So as you may remember, the area of a triangle is a simple equation. It is merely that the area is equal to 1/2 the base times the height. Alright, so the base could be any side of the triangle, while the height has to be perpendicular to the base. So for instance, if we have a right triangle, in this instance the height could be either one. So that could be a height, or this could be the height, and they could both be the base. So each of these sides could either be a height or a base. Because they're perpendicular to each other, they would be the height to each other's bases. But if this was to be our base, if the hypotenuse was to be our base, then that would mean we need to go through from the vertex opposite of it and makes a perpendicular line to it. So it's always going to start at the vertex as opposite. So for instance, this one, it has that vertex of the one not touching it, while this base would have that vertex being for that height. So it's always going to be from the vertex to the side perpendicular. So in this case, that would be the height. So the height depends on which base you're using. Sometimes it could be a side, sometimes it has to go through the object, sometimes it could go outside the object. So you'd only be dealing with the height outside the object if you're dealing with an obtuse triangle, meaning you have an angle that is greater than 90 degrees. So if we were dealing with this, then all we'd have to do is extend out the base. So if this was my base, and then drop down perpendicular, so this would be the height. So the height is always going to be the highest it ever goes up. So from the base, where is the farthest upward it goes? It doesn't have to be along the legs, it doesn't have to be along the side, it doesn't have to be inside, it could be outside. But it has to be one of those three. It has to be perpendicular, meaning it creates a right angle with the base. Alright, so now that we know what the area of a triangle is, meaning that the area is equal to 1/2 the base times the height, we can put this into practice to solve problems, whether they be problems that has an area and asking us for either the base or the height, or it has the base and the height and it's asking us for the area. So in this problem, it is telling us that the area, so we have that the area of the triangle is this, 18 inches squared. We're also told that the length of the base is 6 inches squared. Let me choose a better one than that. So the base is 6 inches squared. So it's asking for the height. So that means when we're writing the equation, we're going to be going, alright, so I know that the area, am I given the area? Well, right there, it tells us what the area is. So in this case, the area is 18 inches squared. And that's going to be equal to 1/2 the base times the height. So I would go ahead and put everything in parentheses. That way you can come in and go, alright, what do I have? So in this case, base. Am I given my base? Well, it says base right there. So base is 6 inches. And it's asking for the corresponding height. So that means we don't know the height. That's what we're looking for. Now it's just a simple matter of simplifying. So what 1/2 times 6 is equal to 3. So that would be 3 inches times h is equal to 18 inches squared. So again, we're solving for h, so we have to get h by itself. So to do that, we have to get rid of the 3. Since we're multiplying, the opposite multiplication is division, so that means we have to divide by what we're multiplying by. So since we're multiplying 3 inches to the h, that means you have to divide by the 3 inches. Right, so that'd be 3 inches. And so since we have inches squared divided by inches, that's going to cancel down to just be inches. So 18 divided by 3 is 6. So that'll be 6 inch is equal to the h. That means the height is 6 inches. So whichever triangle this is, it could be a right triangle or anything else. I like to go ahead and just draw them as right triangles, makes it a bit easier. So I have my h, and I have my base, and I have my area. So I have 18, that would be equal to 6. And so now we know that h is equal to 6. Alright, so sometimes they don't always give you the area and asking you for the other. Sometimes they give you both the base and the height and ask you for the area. In this problem, they are giving us a right triangle where the right angle is up in the air, not at the bottom. Alright, this can happen, so be sure you're looking out for it. If you see the box, that always means that's the right angle, so you're dealing with the right triangle. Alright, while it could be on the bottom, it can be up in the air as well. So since it's up in the air, hey, we know that since these two sides are perpendicular to each other, we know that this could either be the base or the height, just like this could be the base or the height. So one of them is going to be the base, one of them is going to be the height. It doesn't really matter which one's which, because in the end, it produces the exact same formula and equation. Right, because again, the height, the base could be any side, and the height is just perpendicular to it. So for 24 as a base, that would have a height of 22, and for a base of 22, that would have a height of 24. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it like this. Well, I'm going to make the 22 my base, and my height being 24. So now that I have this, I can go, alright, so now I just have to simplify. So going from left to right, I say, hey, a half times 22. So half of 22, that's the same thing as saying 22 divided by 2 is just 11. Because 11 times 2 is 22. So I'm left with 11. Then I drop down the 24, so I have 11 times 24. So now all I have to do is figure out what 11 times 24 is. So 11 times 24 would be 264. So in this case, my answer would be 264 feet squared, being the area of this triangle. So that would be 264 feet squared. Alright, so for this one, again, it's giving us a slightly different take on it. We do know that this is perpendicular, that is the height. So we know that instead of it being the side, we have a height that is in the middle or the inside of the triangle. And again, we still have our base being down there at the bottom, being 8 foot. Let me try that better. So that'd be an 8 feet for the base. Right. So again, we have that the area of a triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. So we come in, we put parentheses around everything. So for the area, do we have the area, or are we looking for the area? Well, it says find the area, which means that's going to be our variable. Again, so we have 1/2 times our base. Well, what's our base? Well, it's the 8. And then our height is that 12. Alright, so again, going from left to right, that's 1/2 times 8, which is going to be 4 times 12. So we drop down the 12. So 4 times 12, well, that's just 48. So in this case, the area would be 48 feet squared.